Steve Michalak, a Polish-born industrial mechanic from River Heights, Winnipeg, was also an amateur geologist. In May 1967, he traveled to Falcon Lake, a remote area in Whiteshell Provincial Park, for a prospecting trip. Michalak was hoping to find quartz and silver in the region's rich geological layers. He had previously staked a claim in the area, aware that quartz veins within the Canadian Shield held valuable metals like gold and nickel. On his trip, Michalak was inspecting a quartz vein when he was startled by a flock of agitated geese. Looking up, he saw two objects hovering about 45 meters 150 feet away. The objects emitted a reddish glow and were shaped like cigarettes with humps in the middle, as he described. Initially thinking they were American experimental aircraft, Michalak observed the objects for several minutes. One of the crafts landed on a nearby rocky platform while the other flew off. The landed object was disc-shaped, approximately 10.5 meters 34 feet long and 4.5 meters 15 feet high. Its surface was smooth and metallic, resembling hot stainless steel with a golden glow. Michalak also noticed a sulfuric odor and a whirring, hissing sound coming from the craft. Michalak decided to approach the craft and began sketching it for about half an hour. He examined the object closely but couldn't find any identifying markings or seams. The craft's door was open and Michalak could hear muffled voices coming from inside. He attempted to communicate with the occupants in English, Polish, Russian, and German, but received no response. Wearing welding goggles for protection, Michalak approached the craft further. As he got closer, he noticed lights inside the craft flashing various colors. He touched the craft, but it was so hot that his gloves began to melt. The craft then turned counterclockwise, revealing a panel with a grid of holes. This panel expelled a blast of heated gas, hitting Michalak in the chest, knocking him backward and setting his clothing on fire. Dazed and in pain, Michalak tore off his burning clothes as the craft flew away. He felt disoriented, nauseous, and later vomited. He managed to return to the Falcon Motor Hotel, but a nearby highway patrol officer who thought he was drunk dismissed him. The officer offered assistance, but Michalak declined. Once back in Winnipeg, Michalak sought medical treatment at the Misericordia Health Center. Doctors confirmed that he had suffered burns consistent with being hit by the UFO's exhaust. The burns had a grid-like pattern, and Michalak continued to suffer from persistent symptoms, including nausea, diarrhea, headaches, and weight loss. His condition appeared to resemble radiation poisoning, but tests showed no traces of radiation. Michalak's story gained widespread attention after he shared his account with the Winnipeg Tribune under the headline, "I was burned by a UFO." He later published his full account in a manuscript titled My Encounter with the UFO, written in Polish and later translated into English. Despite the publicity, Michalak regretted revealing his story as it led to personal and family difficulties. He experienced harassment, and his son, Stan, was bullied at school. Michalak's wife, Maria, was also reluctant to discuss the incident publicly. The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Air Force RCAF, and other agencies investigated Michalak's claims. Helicopters searched the area, and the Department of National Defense joined the investigation. However, initial conclusions suggested Michalak might have been hallucinating due to alcohol consumption. Some skeptics suggested that Michalak invented the UFO story to deter competitors from prospecting in the area. Investigations at the site revealed a 4.5 meter 15-foot circle of burned vegetation and traces of unusual metal, including some melted into cracks in the rock. Soil samples showed elevated levels of radiation, but this was later attributed to a nearby radium vein. Skeptics pointed out inconsistencies in Michalak's account, such as his interactions with the highway patrol officer and claims about alcohol consumption. A bartender at the hotel stated that Michalak had consumed several bottles of beer the night before the encounter. Despite the skepticism, Michalak's case remains one of the most well-known UFO encounters. The story was featured in the television show Unsolved Mysteries, and in 2010, the band The Weakerthans released an album called The Falcon Lake Incident. In 2018, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the encounter, the Royal Canadian Mint released a commemorative silver coin featuring a glowing UFO design in honor of the mysterious event. Michalak's son, Stan, has continued to investigate the event, working with ufologists to share his father's account. In 2019, documents and burned clothing related to the incident were donated to the University of Manitoba archives for preservation. Despite the many unanswered questions, the Falcon Lake UFO incident continues to be a topic of fascination, with its physical evidence and Michalak's personal account still sparking interest and debate.